Hey everybody, it's an exciting day for space weather. We've got another coronal mass ejection headed our way and one to strike any moment. The latest one occurred just earlier this morning. We're expecting it to arrive on August 4th, sometime after midday. We'll cover it and lots more here at the Smash News Network, Least Busted Name in News. And by the way, thanks for tuning in. Congratulations on realizing that the channel exists. This is some difference imagery. That's 193 plus 304 angstroms from SDO, and the latest CME came from this area right here. So let's get rid of the difference imagery. You see a huge plasma filament right here, and now it's on the way to Earth. Some of it collapsed, some of it is headed this way. There is a fairly clear halo eruption, which we will show you later in the video. That's a 24-hour video from SDO, by the way. Here is 171 angstroms, so we've got some setting regions in the west. This one is the most likely one to produce a large flare, followed by this one up here. We've also got some rising sunspot regions in the east. Here's a little zoom in of the western area. We cheated a little bit to the west. And now we'll pan over to the eastern limb. And there you can see a great view of that filament as it releases, as well as two new active regions rising. The one in the northeast looks like it's already a sunspot. The southeastern one, not sure yet. It'll take a few hours, maybe half the day today, for that to become more evident. If you enjoy the content, by the way, take a moment to visit the links below the video. One of the links you'll find below the video is the link to our Redbubble shop. One of our latest designs is imbecile. Yeah, imbecile. Don't be an imbecile. You probably know lots of imbeciles. You probably go out into public and see a wide variety of imbeciles. Did you know that it's an adjective as well? Don't be an imbecile. Imbecile is this featured product. Yeah, imbecile. It's also an adjective, not just a noun. We're going to put the full definition on the shirt, but that's not going to be necessary. So don't be an imbecile. It's yeah. It's a good design, I think. What do you think? Let us know in the comments. We've also got an Amazon shop, so you can support the channel that way. Hit up the Amazon shop. It's amazon.com/shop/smashomash, and then we put a link to the Smash Team site there on the banner. We just added some peppermint oil. Shout out to Colt 45, AKWV Soaring. Also, there's a Hemp Lucid shop, so check the links there. One of our other paid affiliates there is the Hemp Lucid shop. So check out the products. If you haven't tried the CBDs or perhaps the mushroom gummies, I like the focus and stress mushroom gummies. I use them regularly. Also, the CBD body balms are good. Try the lip balm if you've never tried it, perhaps. They make great gifts. The Hemp Lucid shop there, it's not only linked below this video in the description, but it's also on the homepage, so help support the channel that way. And let's take a look at sunspots. There is yesterday plus today. And not a lot of changes, just a little bit of evolution happening with this group down here. But besides that, a little bit of growth up here. Here's our colorized magnetogram, also yesterday plus today. That's July 31st and August 1st to date. And let's take a brief look at planet Earth and see what's going on. In terms of volcanic activity, Kamchatka, featuring the volcanic action of Shivaluch, now back on the list, although volcanic ash not identifiable in satellite imagery. I suppose it's probably erupting or it wouldn't appear on the list. 9,000-foot ash plume over Mayan. Uluwun in Papua New Guinea, 10,000-foot ash plume there as Uluwun explodes. Yowzers, I've exploded off of the scene, folks. Okay, I'm back. Semaru also exploding, flight level 150, 15,000-foot ash plume. Sancho Guido in Guatemala, volcanic ash not detected. Could be because it's cloudy, could be because it's not erupting. Fuego exploding, flight level 150. Nevado de Ruiz exploding, flight level 200. Sangay, occasional emissions. Revenador, some emissions reported there, no indication on the ash plume size. Sabancaya exploding, flight level 210, and possible emissions from Ubinas. No indication on the volcanic ash plume there. Please do not pole vault the caldera. Next, looking at seismic activity, there is the past 90 days. And we'll go over 5 magnitude and higher quakes for the past 24 hours. It looks like there were quite a few earthquakes there around Alaska. So a quick reminder that any earthquake can be a foreshock. So starting out our list of 5 and greater magnitude earthquakes, there was a 5.0 at Papua New Guinea. That was at 23:07 Universal Time yesterday evening. Philippines had a 5.4. That was at 8:03 Universal Time this morning. And Solomon Islands had a 5.0 at 9:39 Universal Time this morning. And let's get back to space. So here we've put together the spectacular 171 plus 211 angstroms wavelengths. And here's that filament that is now headed toward Earth. Should have named that one after a living person. Did you join us over on X, formerly known as Twitter? What's that? No? Well, then you can't name filaments. You can't do it in the YouTube comments. It can only be done on X. Here's the full disk view. And let's talk about things like the radio flux. It's now up a little bit to 177 solar flux units. Actually, a little bit lower than you might expect. 177 is the current radio flux number right up here. It's this black line. The red line is a sunspot number. As you can see here, it's going to be back over 200 the next time that updates. And Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard forecasting geomagnetic storm conditions throughout the day and into tomorrow. So we might see some aurora here at mid-latitudes where we've got our fingers crossed. CME impact is imminent. Maybe it'll happen while we produce the video. Who knows? So let's take a look at Earth's magnetic moment from space. If it did come in the past 4 hours, you'll see it represented on this space weather modeling framework. This depicts magnetohydrodynamic pressure, and you can expect a big uptick in the left side of that image in the coming hours. A big increase in the pressure caused by the impact of the latest coronal mass ejection. And everybody agrees here. NOAA, NASA, Tamitha Skov, and I all agree that it will be an impact. Again, the next one is expected to arrive sometime after midday on August 4th. Here's the past 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from the ground, and it is geomagnetically calm. Very calm. Looks like the calm before the geomagnetic storm. Since it refreshed, we'll let it play through there. And that's one of the great features of this, is that it does auto-refresh. So no complaints about that. That's the past 4 hours, awaiting the imminent impact of the latest CME impacts at any moment. Current conditions are KP1. It's geomagnetically calm conditions overall on planet Earth. KP1 is the current situation, and real-time solar wind here showing pretty uneventful solar wind. A little uptick there in the plasma temperature on the bottom frame, the green line there. Besides that, 387 kilometers per second for the solar wind speed. 6.12 protons per cubic centimeter for the solar wind density. No CME yet. Gauss magnetometers, you can expect to see these get a little spiky as the solar plasma strikes Earth's magnetosphere and slows down rapidly. Anyway, Gauss magnetometers there, not showing the CME impact yet either. And let's take a look at our top view ecliptic plane field plot. See if there are any sector boundary crossings happening. And it looks like Earth is still in a North Pole current sheet when we bring up the latest image. Indeed, Earth is right there in the green. North Pole current sheet is the current situation. Keep in mind the magnetic environment can change with basically no warning. If any warning comes, it'll come from our channel. Here's our line of sight field plot. And it looks like things are getting a little bit more decisive up there in the northeastern limb, as there was certainly a magnetic tug-of-war between North and South Pole coronal holes happening up there. Things have calmed down a little bit here. Let's take a look at coronal holes next. There's our coronal hole line of sight plot. And let's bring up the last image. South Pole coronal holes rotating in here in the northeastern limb. So let's cut to our custom viewers, custom helio viewer movies here. We'll get rid of 171 angstroms. There's 211 angstroms by itself. So these are North Pole coronal holes up here. right? Yeah, North Pole coronal holes. There you go. Some South Pole coronal holes rotating in here behind these active regions. Next, it's sunspot time. So let's cover those. Here's yesterday plus today. Once again, that's SDO continuum. We'll also show you the flare monitoring system. Most likely places for large flares at the moment, according to the flare monitor, are 3386 and 3380. No argument there. I would tend to agree. And here is 1600 plus 1700 angstroms from SDO. That's a 24-hour video. And let's get to solar flares and energetic particles. So the proton flux here has subsided, along with the polar radio blackouts. Another forecast successfully completed by the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. Again, congratulations on realizing the channel exists. Press the like button if you enjoy the content. So here's the current deabsorption region predictions. A series of M-class flares have occurred in the past, well, today. So August 1st getting started out right with some M-class solar flare activity. That's what those those equatorial radio blackouts are caused by. And the largest one was an M4 plus. So it was an M3.5. Nearly an M4. So M3.66 was peak flux there around 6:50 Universal Time this morning. And let's take a look at our SDO custom videos. There's another 24-hour video. And it looks like those flares came from this active region down here. Another forecast made yesterday on this very channel. We said as it approaches the limit, becomes the most likely place to produce large flares. How you like them apples? It will continue to be the most likely place to produce large flares. Don't be surprised to see an X-class event, especially as it gets closer and closer to the limb. So that's another 24-hour SDO video. That's 131 plus 94 angstroms. 2 species of ionized iron. Good stuff there. Next, it is time to advise our viewers to look up. Yeah, look up. Tonight might be a good night to look up, especially if that CME impact lasts as long as NOAA forecasts it to. I'm not sure if it'll last quite that long, but since it hasn't arrived yet, this is increasing the likelihood that people will be able to see the aurora in the northern hemisphere and in the western world. So that's what's currently going on. The sun just peeking over the horizon here, Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. That's skyandtelescope.org star chart. Here is a solar system forecast. This is where things are today. And that's where things will be in a week on August 8th. Happy full moon. Next, our astronomy picture of the day by Mike Wentz. I think we may actually follow him on X. So that is a giant crown prominence, or it's not a crown prominence, just a solar prominence there. And yeah, apod.nasa.gov if you want to set that as your desktop. It's an appropriate image for today and for our channel indeed. So let's take a look at coronagraphs next. And let's get me off the screen. There we go. That's yesterday's coronagraph imagery. And you can see that comet coming in there on the right. We did make a short about that yesterday. That's 97 frames from yesterday. Pretty uneventful. Today, a little more eventful, starting out with another Earth-directed coronal mass ejection. So it looks like a lot of that ejecta will miss Earth to the east. A lot of that ejecta will strike Earth directly. And some of that filament collapsed back down toward the chromosphere. Don't worry, we've got more images. By the way, has anybody checked out the Space Physics Data Facility that we uncovered yesterday? Part of the Goddard Flight Center. the Space Physics Data Facility. I haven't had a chance. I was kind of busy yesterday. So here are the coronagraphs, and it looks like there is some missing data there. Oh, all right, not too bad. It's back. So let's take a look at that latest halo eruption happening early this morning. There you go. That giant filament right in the center of the solar disk. Now on the way to Earth. Expected to arrive sometime after midday on August 4th. There you go. We'll also show stereo A. Unfortunately, it's missing data as the CME happens. So that's still yesterday, and then it just jumps to 5 o'clock. So there's like 7 hours of missing data there. Suboptimal. You can see the after effects of that outflow. Soho Lasco C3 showing it pretty well. Here come our custom videos. Here's a 24-hour video. And we get a little bit closer, you'll see this filament. That filament right there is going to be a lot closer to planet Earth in about 3 days. So how you like them apples? And by the way, shout out to Julie. Thanks for leaving a comment about the most recent activity. Here's a great close-up 193 angstroms from SDO. And we put the Earth scale right next to that filament. And interestingly enough, I don't think there was even a flare associated with that. That filament just kind of let go on its own, it looks like. There was really no solar flare there, so it's a great example of a coronal mass ejection with no associated solar flare. I hear people saying all the time, like, oh, the flare was the flare was this size flare or that size flare, and that means the CME is going to have this sort of an impact, and that has nothing to do with anything, folks. Flares and coronal mass ejections are separate phenomenon, so don't get them confused. They are solar flares are photons, in other words, X-rays. It is a completely different phenomenon than a coronal mass ejection, which is when gaseous material is ejected from the sun's atmosphere. Stand in front of a fan. That wind blowing in your face, that's kind of like a coronal mass ejection. Now turn on a flashlight. That's kind of like a solar flare. You see the difference? Solar flares are photons. Coronal mass ejections are protons. Hopefully that makes sense. I suspect it probably does. We do encourage people to have a high school level of physics understanding as a prerequisite for the channel, as we can only go over so much in the context of daily space weather videos. So here's this filament, and it's, there it goes, or here it comes. So that's pretty sweet. There's another big filament up here. That one might deserve a name. What do you think? Let us know in the comments. Or better yet, follow the hashtag, name that filament. Yeah, over on X. Make sure you follow us there. You'll see all kinds of shares you won't see anyplace else. Thanks to all of our followers over there on Twitter. Thanks to everybody who shares our tweets and makes fun of people who believe in chemtrails. Chemtrails. They demonstrate a shocking lack of understanding of aircraft tech as well as meteorology. Also perhaps basic physics. Chemtrails, not a thing. Instagram is another place you can follow us for daily lifestyle and fitness posts most days. Yesterday I was kind of slacking because I was very busy, but make sure you press like and subscribe. Thanks to our new subscribers over on YouTube, by the way. Congratulations on realizing the channel exists. We remain surprised that anybody has found the content here at the Smash News Network. Least posted name in news. Press that share button. If you're an influencer, drop us a line. We'll consider being on your channel. You want to talk about space weather? We'll cover it. We might even talk about cosmology, given the opportunity. Here's the past couple of hours from the GOES 18 SUVI. We will remain vigilant watching this area down here. We're streaming it on the Twitch channel, if you didn't know. More on that later in the video during the meteorology segment. And let's get through our bonus features. Again, 2 new active regions rising here in the east. This one here I don't see ombre yet, but we'll show you some high-res images of that before we get to meteorology. So here is the satellites community dashboard. No charging hazards here at the moment. Smooth sailing for satellites. Goes electron flux here in a moderate range, expecting a big dip in the electron flux in the coming hours when the CME impact occurs. Here's a 1-year graph to put it in context from solon.info. That is the 1-year graph of the greater than 2 mega electron volt electron fluence. So NOAA expecting a dip here in the electron flux. I would tend to agree with that. That's the NOAA forecast. The green boxes, the yellow diamonds are the observation. And next we'll show the F flare of the ionosphere where the electron flux is measured, by the way. And just so you know, the electron flux gets anomalous during CME and coronal hole high-speed stream impacts. So here is the F flare in vibrational frequency. And we're already seeing low-frequency anomalies in this. We can expect to see extreme low-frequency anomalies when that CME impacts, which again could be at any moment. Maybe it'll happen while the video premieres. Thanks to everybody who tunes into our live premieres, by the way. Remember, folks, I'm not only Smash-O-Mash, I am also a client. Here's the anomalygram. That's anomaly in megahertz from the 30-day median. Lots of low-frequency anomalies here, even though the CME impact has not yet occurred. And we'll bring up the latest images. There is 1030 universal time ionogram and 1030 universal time anomalygram. Next, total electron content. Feel free to pause the video on this frame if you're not familiar with distances in miles. We are seeing continued high electron content anomalies south of Oceania, the Indian Ocean, around Antarctica, and south of Africa. We are seeing some signals in the total electron content anomaly from the 10-day median. Here over North America, we're seeing some high electron content anomalies there over Canada, as well as over the Cascadia fault zone. So right there, some perhaps Earth-generated signals there. Did you know that most of the electrons in Earth's Van Allen belts come from Earth, not from the Sun? Anyway, some significant high electron content anomalies there over portions of North America. I'll let it play through one more time before we show the highest res images of the closest star. So there you go. If it's foretelling an earthquake, we haven't seen it happen yet on the channel, that's for sure. Here's the latest intensitygram and latest magnetogram. Is it a sunspot yet up there? Nope, I don't see any ombre. Looks like a pretty weak active region, actually. Once again, this is the most likely group to produce a large solar flare, especially as it gets closer and closer to the limb. It remains beta gamma delta class, and it has been the most active sunspot group. Check it out, a new sunspot group forming right down here to its southeast. Second most likely place to see a large flare is, well, geez, I'm not sure. This one looks complex. This one's complex. Those are both beta gamma delta class. Here's a full disk rock back. And let's rock back to meteorology. So space is a frontier, and frankly, meteorology is a frontier, because if people understood meteorology, they wouldn't believe in chemtrails, period. Let's take a look at the sea surface temperature anomaly and ocean currents. That's what we're viewing here. And lots of anomalously warm water there in both the Atlantic and the Arctic Ocean. Check this out. Over 20 degrees Fahrenheit above normal temperature for this time of year. Up here around the Canada-Alaska border. So lots of warm water there in the Arctic and so forth. Here's the Atlantic sea surface temperature anomaly map. Pacific sea surface temperature anomalies. How about the Southern Ocean? And there is the Indian Ocean. So there you go. We've showed you the full planet of sea surface temperature anomalies. Let's take a look at wind. Like sands through the hourglass of time, these are the winds of your lives in the eastern world. Typhoon here sending out warnings. Gold and silver Smash Team members get warnings about disaster reports. Smashomash.com/Smash Team. Here are the jet streams of this side of the planet. Here are the jet streams of the west. And here are the surface winds. Surface winds of Europe, Africa, and South Central Asia depicted here. And there are the jet streams. So let's move this mother along and take a quick look at sea ice thickness and volume. So here is what's going on for those stats. Let's bring up the latest large graph here. Here's the graphic. Ice getting pretty thin there right around the pole. And also on the Asia side. And if you're wondering how it compares to previous years, so am I. So there it is. It is way down at the bottom of the range there, the plus or minus 1 standard deviation for 2004 to 2013. So low levels of Arctic sea ice volume here at the moment for 2023. That's from Polar Portal. And here is your satellite view. There's a great satellite map there from windy.com. Full planet view there of cloud cover as the sun rises over the east coast of the U.S. Next, clouds and fog as we zoom in closer and closer to the lower 48. A bunch of low clouds off the west coast of South America there. You can see that murky looking skies there in winter time in the South Pacific. 2 large bands of clouds in the western Atlantic. Next, your smoke map. There is some smoke coming down here into Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan. Also over there in Oregon, some thick smoke. Also Washington and Northern California. That's firesmoke.ca, by the way, if you want to check it out yourself. Firesmoke.ca. And let's break out the weather.gov map. Weather.gov is next. If your location is lit, click your location. We've got some excessive heat watches there. And it looks like some severe weather warnings there in Missouri. Weather.gov is where to get your warnings. And here is our temperature anomaly map. That's GFS 72-hour temperature anomaly in degrees Celsius. As the jet stream dips into the eastern portion of the U.S., here is the jet stream forecast. Once again, the 72-hour GFS jet stream forecast, 250 millibar winds. And here is our pressure and precipitation forecast. Same model, by the way. Next, lightning. Can see there was some heavy lightning there in central Missouri indeed. And let's see what's happening at the moment. Some pretty concentrated weather here. It looks like some training might be happening as well, as that thing is moving about like this. So you may get hit repeatedly there. Looks like a fairly unpopulated portion of the state. That's your real-time lightning map. It's lightningmaps.org. highly recommended. We empower our viewers to understand things, and we empower Smash Team members especially. That's why we send out email alerts about things like this very video. Yeah, because superior forecasting, the world's most comprehensive daily space weather, and detailed imagery of the closest star. Smashomash.com/Smash Team is how to support the channel and get additional content, especially at the silver and especially the gold level. The best value is the gold annual paid up subscription. And it looks like the Twitch stream has shut down while I produce the video. Anyway, we'll close this thing out with the latest Doppler radar. There is the full 50 state view. Here's the lower 48 view. Here is clouds and fog. And let's don't forget water vapor. Clear skies over most of the eastern U.S. there as dry massive air gets shoved down from Canada. And some huge pressure gradients forming there over Missouri. Here's a recap as it's time to close this thing out. U.S. Doppler radar for the lower 48, clouds and fog, water vapor. And once again, thanks for tuning into the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. I've been your host, Dan, a.k.a. Smash-O-Mash, signing off. And while I'm gone, may that solar wind be at your back.